Have things ever felt like they were really off the rails, like you and your class seemed to have lost your way? There are times at school when you may have been busy or distracted and you and the class go off track. And there are also times when a new student changes the dynamic of a classroom and the strategies that you were using don't seem to work any longer. When it seems like you've lost your way or the class just feels hard and you seem to be going from one disruptive behaviour to another, it's time to take a breath and get some perspective. Going back to basics and looking at your class rules or expectations may be all that you need to get back on track. This is part of a series about when the whole class is being disruptive or when you have a group of students who are causing havoc in your classroom. In this video, you will learn the value of revisiting your class rules or expectations, of going back to the drawing board and having a fresh start with your class. It doesn't matter how long you've had the class, it's always useful to do a reset when student behaviour has deteriorated. And taking a reset can give you some breathing space, improve relationships with the students because you're giving them a voice, and it will help you and your class to solve some issues that may have been brewing. I'm Mari Amaro, and I'm a teacher, presenter and author. And I've been working with students and teachers for over 30 years. I'm passionate about helping teachers improve teaching strategies and learning practices. And I combine research and experience to provide strategies that improve student learning by improving classroom management. And I focus on the practices that take little or no extra teacher time. Strategies that actually can give you back time by helping you to work more effectively. I love coaching teachers and I emphasise teacher well-being, because improved teacher wellbeing means improved student wellbeing, and that leads to better academic and social outcomes for all our students. If you'd like to learn more, please subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so that you get the notifications. We put out 2 videos every week, so make sure you don't miss any content. When you subscribe, that helps us to keep making the videos and get the information and support out to more teachers. If you know anyone you think would benefit from the teaching strategies and learning practices in these videos, please share with your colleagues, friends and family. Everyone knows a teacher or someone who works in a school. If you have any questions or comments that you'd like me to cover, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Taking the time to revisit and revise your expectations is time well spent, and maybe all you need to rein in any disruptive behaviour, even if it seems like it's out of control. Your classroom is where you make the difference and where you can control the space to create a safe, predictable and consistent learning environment for all your students. And while going back and setting expectations may take some time, it can lead to rich discussion about the need for rules, about what behaviours are acceptable and unacceptable, about the difference between what's appropriate at home versus what's appropriate at school. And you can include some work around the rules and expectations that you as an adult need to follow. Number 1, make a plan to work with the class. And in that time, discuss the class rules and expectations. You could review your current expectations and decide whether they are relevant, or if you need to throw them out and start from scratch. Use a class meeting time to give all students an opportunity to voice their opinions and concerns. You could allow students to write their concerns down if you don't think that they'll feel comfortable enough to speak their mind. And this could be the case if the classroom environment has deteriorated and become unsafe and particularly negative. At this point, it can also be helpful to ask the students for feedback about your performance. What are their expectations for you? Are you giving them interesting work and relevant lessons? Most kids, when they're asked what they want from their teacher, will say they want to do interesting work, they don't want to be yelled at, and they'd like their teacher to be on time. These are all aspirations I'm sure you have as their teacher. If you'd like to learn more about how to create a positive classroom environment for your students, check out our video on just that. Number 2, identify problem areas. You can use the PBL or the Positive Behaviour for Learning framework of identifying problem behaviours in the classroom and then creating rules and expectations to deal with that behaviour. For example, If the students in your class talk over each other during discussions, then the class expectation may be one person speaking at a time, or raise your hand to speak. Being explicit in describing these behaviours will help students to understand what's expected of them and increase the likelihood that they'll be successful. If your students always ask and always wait when that's the case, then you don't need that particular rule. Number 3, describe the behaviour that you want to see. Use observable, measurable language that everyone can understand. So instead of something like be respectful, you might use be in the right place at the right time. Or instead of be kind, one person speaks at a time. While being respectful and being kind are great visions and great values to have for your classroom, they're not specific, observable and measurable, and so much more difficult for students to know whether they're following the expectations or not, and much harder for you to tell if they're doing that or not as well, because that's just a judgment. Number 5, have rules that students can follow. It seems common sense, but what you really want for your students is that they are successful. So have expectations that are achievable for them. And you can always change the expectations if they're not working or if they're not relevant any longer. If students are displaying the behaviours without any needs for reminders, then perhaps you could extend the expectations or raise your expectations about how they're going to work in the classroom. If you'd like to learn more about the value of having high expectations for your students, check out our videos on what it means to have high expectations for your students and why high expectations are so important for students' academic achievement and social success. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and happy teaching.